It is good to hear voices. And I've got a PowerPoint.
Oh no, a PowerPoint.
Well, it's going to.
I'm giving you. It's wonderful you have a PowerPoint.
It's going to guide us through it. You know, it's going to guide us through it. That's my goal with it. Although I can't quite seem to get the little button. Here it is. Okay, there's the little button. All right, can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we are recording this, and you don't have to use your mute. We're a small group. You can keep it unmuted, and we'd love to have your faces on here. And when it does a recording, whoever's talking, their face shows up. Not everybody's face shows up. And then, okay. So we're going to do 3 sessions, and I've printed it out. Of course, I did it in black and white because I want to save resources. But Artists Working in Community is a little guide. I think it's really well done. Springboard for the Arts is the organization out of Minnesota that pulled it together. And I talked with June Lee, who is one of the authors of it, maybe 2 years ago now, when it first came out. And I said, this is terrific. I think we want to shape something. Do you do trainings? And at that point, they weren't doing trainings around this. They started doing the arts training when the pandemic happened. And it's still a little bit different, but they basically put this handbook out there and they say, hey, feel free to use it. Communities, I think Springboard for the Arts is a cool group. It's artist driven. Like everybody who works there is an artist. And it is kind of community-based art practices that they're supporting and encouraging. And this handbook has, I think 5 different sessions or sections. In this first little round in June, I wanted to go ahead and get us going, keep the conversation going, get the momentum building, and we're going to do the groundwork portions. And tonight's conversation is going to be really simple. We're going to focus on some of the artist groundwork. We're going to do one exercise together, and then we're going to look at the other exercises that they have in it and hopefully everybody can dig into those between now and the next week. And so we'll do the kind of the same way we've been doing these. First, we'll do a little call for inspiration and reflections and learnings. What's happened since we last were together? What have you learned? We're building a learning community, and sharing some of these learnings is really important, I think. Then we're going to look at the overview of this handbook and talk about some definitions that they've got in the handbook, which I think are kind of interesting. And then talk a little bit about why we're doing this part so slow, this self-knowledge piece, which I think is critical to any work, and especially work in community. And then we'll do a few Yoda updates and we'll be done. And it won't even take an hour, I don't think. But if it does, that's great. That means we're having good conversation. So any questions on that?
All of a sudden today, I noticed there was like 6. Tarot.
Yeah.
There's 6 what? Oh, or was that may not have been. Okay, so again, the Year of the Artist, we're advancing community goals. We are integrating artists in civic problem solving. We're exploring and experimenting. We're paying artists. We're strengthening the network. We're connecting to each other, and we're connecting to the community. We're having fun and really focusing on this sense of play, and we're building a learning community. And all of this, when I say all these things, it sounds kind of complex. I think what we're doing is fairly simple, but when I start to talk about it, I make it, I feel like it's doing so much for us, or it can do so much for us. So y'all have to occasionally tell me to simplify things. But this is what I think we're doing. So with that, I'm gonna stop my share so I can make sure I can see everybody and see if anyone has any lessons, anything that they've learned, anything that's been inspirational to them over the past, couple months since we were last together.
Oh, of course I'm going to talk. I'll have to break the ice. Well, Doug, as you know, I started Euchestra, and we had a conversation about not being the best ukulele player in the world, but just having the courage to do something that's close to your heart and making yourself vulnerable. I think that's a really important thing that artists do all the time, especially working on this self-portrait as well. It's really revealing stuff about ourselves and being open with the audience that we're going to share this work of art with. And I just want to say that we're all really, really brave, and acknowledge that courage, because that's the kind of energy that will make the world a better place.
That was beautifully said. Thank you, Simone. Susan.
Let me unmute here. You guys have been so supportive. I've told many of you I'm just a groupie. I'm not really an artist, I'm a groupie, but so many of you have been so supportive, and I've always wanted to, for some crazy reason, do portraits. And so I'm in kindergarten class on portraits, but I'm trying to teach myself. And so I'm like 40%. I know there's things that need to happen, but it's getting there. I know I need to get more bold with the shadows so the cheekbones stand out, but I at least am trying. So thanks everybody for being so supportive.
Rock on. Yeah, that's terrific. Thank you, Susan. And is there one more? All right. Hey, Michelle. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I've been, attending some of these Yoda Zooms since y'all first started, and I've been very intimidated to be amongst all of you who talk about your art and what you do to the community, and in such brilliant, emotionally vested language. And I have never. I have an eye. I've always thought of myself as an artist, but have never been out there doing anything with it. And I feel like I've just been like a closet artist who's just finally giving myself a chance to show people what I like to do, a little bit more about this hidden side. And we talk about supporting the new artists, and usually we're talking about younger artists, and that's not me. I'm like, third act artist. I don't know. But, getting the awarded, the self-portrait was just such a shock to me. I mean, I literally decided to do it at 9 o'clock that night, and got it in at, I think, 11:59, and pulling things off of my dead iMac to try to get some images of my old portfolio stuff. So anyway, so this is just giving me this opportunity that I don't want to waste. And I'm just trying to put everything into this. Everything is being put aside, and I'm just trying to just work on this. And I know I'm babbling. I just I'm just excited to be able to practice and share and try to work on this, and to be a part of this group.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, something happened last week that was totally counter to the sense of Yoda. or the year of the artist to me. And it was, the encouragement that I'm feeling here is this is at the heart of it, right? If we are out there creating in the community and aligning it with the good of the community, incredible things are going to happen. I just know that. I mean, that's intuitive. I feel it in my heart. And I was at an event and I heard that it's a follow-up last time that someone, at an event was really, less than supportive of other artists. And I've got to pull that person aside and like have a conversation with them. But this is at the heart of it. And we're going to talk a little bit about like what is art tonight and who are artists. We are all artists. We want more people to claim that. There are people who are creating at home and doing it very quietly and separating it out from the rest of their life, where some of that creative spirit, that energy, if they're comfortable in the world around them and they can apply that in the world around them, we are going to be a better community. So tonight's really going to be about these values. That's going to be the core part of our conversation. So thank you for sharing. That got us all on exactly the right foot. I already feel bad. We could just stop right now and it would be a success to me. That's a key part of it. So let me get back to sharing the screen. And all right, this is going to keep guiding us through. So I mentioned that they're going to be, we're going to focus on in these 3 sessions, only 2 parts of this workbook. The workbook's got terrific resources in it. The first part is going to be focusing on artists and doing that groundwork. And then we're going to come back to the conversation that we started in the first round of these sessions on assets, on community assets, and what it means to build from community assets. And this handbook has, it's got, you'll love it. I think when you download it, it's free. There's a PDF. We've got a printer there at the office, so if we need to print out some copies, I'm sure we can find a way to do that. And there are exercises. There are exercises that you can do with a community group if you're working with a community group. There are exercises for you individually. Now, on the parts on project formation and project implementation, as we dig in and have a project, those are going to be more valuable. So I'm going to hold off on those a little bit. Because, we're getting ready to get going with the artists in residence. Some of you have Art Matters grants where you do have a project. That handbook, it might be time to go ahead and dip into it. If you've got a project that's coming right up. So here are 2 definitions of art. Well, one definition of artist. And this image is from the handbook, and you'll see in the clouds some names for kind of community-based artist, an artist organizer, a community artist, a civic practice artist, a creative, a culture bearer, a culture keeper, a community worker, a social practice artist, a participatory artist, a socially engaged artist, or it could just be an artist. There are lots of terms, and there'll be different definitions and nuances. But we wanted to kind of talk about what we mean in the year of the artist by artist. I've already said that we're taking a very broad definition, but I think this kind of aligns, the handbook for artists working in community kind of aligns with the way we've been thinking about this. An artist, in their definition, is anyone who has a creative practice of any discipline or form, of any experience level or background, who considers themselves an artist. This includes someone who sings for church choir, whittles spoons, styles hair, or makes meals, to someone who wins huge public art commissions or is collected by museums. So because this is a municipal program, and we're very intentionally trying to support artists at every level, we're taking a really broad lens at this, or look at this. All right. Now that said, we do have artistic merit and artistic excellence in the as the NEA dictates and mandates that when we're giving a grant that we have to do that. So it's possible for someone to be in the year of the artist effort where we're finding additional resources to support them. One of our artists in residence will actually be a historian in residence. It won't be funded by the NEA, but it's going to be funded with other funds that we find in the city. So we are sticking with the NEA artistic merit and artistic excellence guidelines. Those are being screened for by the panels when they're reviewing. But at the same time, we want to engage as broad a group as possible. And we want to encourage as broad a group as possible. So if we're ever in a conversation and, we'll see different levels. And that's terrific as far as I'm concerned. Okay, their definition of community. A group of people who share some identification, such as geography, culture, language, nationality, political affiliation, issue, gender, ability, etc. So a community can be place-based, but doesn't have to be place-based. And they have a note. We believe it is important to recognize that there is diversity within any community. People who share one identification do not necessarily share others. So the community is that part where we're seeing the things that we do share. And then these I thought were interesting. These might be worth a little conversation. They're fun. I mean, how do we ever define art? But these are from they took two definitions of two statements about art. One was from Essays of the Blurring of Art and Life. And that is, art is a weaving of meaning-making activity with any or all parts of our lives. And the other from Proposals for the Feminine Economy, art is the unique expression of an emotion or an idea wherein something is at stake. Did like that, where something is at stake. If it's not at stake, is it art? Yeah. Okay. With all those, I'm going to open it up for a little conversation, and we'll stop. That's my cue that we're having a conversation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll be quiet. Any comments or thoughts on any of those?
It reminded me of a quote. It's an Albert Einstein quote, and I love this. Art is standing with one hand extended into the universe and one hand extended into the world, and letting ourselves be a conduit for passing energy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jane, I think that energy is a really important component of art making. So if that energy is like emotion, so it kind of like generates some sort of reaction, even if it's, oh, I hate that, or hopefully we have, oh, I love that. But any sort of emotional reaction, that transfer of energy between the artwork and the audience, I think that's really important.
I got goose chills. I'm writing that down. Exchanging that energy as a concept, as a defining an artist is like,
yeah, it's great.
Love.
Energy exchange.
Kyle.
I see there's a lot of people, John and Michelle and Susan. I know Susan. Hello, Susan. And Robin and Christine and Lacey. I'm really curious. When I was in your office the other week, there was a woman there that essentially told me that I was a performance artist. And that was so helpful to me in, like, even today I used it in talking to a small church group in defining who I was, because I feel like I don't fall into a traditional slot of how people see artists. And so I'd be really curious, I don't know many of you. Michelle, I'm really curious to see, I applaud you for entering the portrait artist thing. That's pretty exciting, because I chickened out of that. I've drawn literally hundreds of thousands of faces over 30 years, and I'm scared to death to draw my own. So the fact that you stepped up and did that, I love that this group is pushing us maybe perhaps out of our comfort zone, or helping us redefine how we see ourselves as artists. But unfortunately, our communities want to pigeonhole us into visual artists, musicians, the traditional aspect of what art is. And I really hope that Yoda is going to break that wide open to say, no, we as artists have a purpose in the community that goes above and beyond just the creativity, that we can inspire, that we can challenge, that we can help integrate ourselves with nonprofits and be in the community in a way that will improve communication, that will improve people coming together. So, if we could just go around, just because a lot of you are strangers to me, and say, who are you as an artist? I'm a caricature artist. So I do storytelling, I sing, I dance, I make my subjects sing and dance. And in a nutshell, yeah, I guess I am a performance artist. But if you had to give an elevator speech on what kind of art you do, who is in this room with us right now?
Terrific, Kyle. I think that's a great activity. And if it's okay, I will go through the room and call on folks. And if you're not comfortable with it, just say pass. But otherwise, please let's answer that question. Christine, do you mind if I start with you?
Sure. I think you were talking about, was that, I had that book you were mentioning earlier. Was that about introverts? I think in the quiet people, and something like this is much as I'm used to this sort of thing, still like gives me cold hands and clammy hands. But I've been doing the artist thing for a long time, and my background's in photography, but I like to dabble in lots of other things, especially lately video and installations. And speaking of being fearful, this is sort of new territory for me. I've taught for many years, but the idea of working in and with the community has been really exciting for me for a while. So this part of the journey is I'm really looking forward to, and I'm already learning a lot. Does that answer?
Yeah, that's all I
question?
wanted to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for modeling the way, Christine. John.
Hey everyone, I like to do a lot of 3D modeling, build sculptures, large scale to small scale. I used to, I started out like making small things like jewelry and keychains, and then kind of worked my way up and just evolved as an artist. And I had a lot of background in graphic design as well. So I'm into that and art history, and yeah, I enjoy it a lot.
Great. Thanks, John. Simone.
I've been an artist for many years, and I in fact devote my whole life to art. I breathe it, I dance, I play music, and my main bag in terms of art form at the moment is embroidery, machine embroidery. So yeah, that's what I do. I play the harp and ukulele. I'm doing an app.
So cool.
Wonderful. That's such a happy instrument.
Oh yeah, you should join Ukestra. It's on Saturday at Parkway.
I think we all need our own walk-up music, Just hear the ukulele going.
And I apologize that I am going to have to leave in 5 minutes because I've got another Zoom meeting. But sorry, I crossed.
Okay, thanks, Simone. Jane.
I am a visual and performing artist. Currently working on a whole lot of projects, exploring the theme of We Are the Medicine. I'm also working on a sculpture for Dr. Pepper Music Park, which I just finished today. Thank goodness. And that's been about exploring the energy of music and love as a uniting factor.
Great. Thanks, Jane. Charlie.
I used to be real clear about who I was and what an artist is, but I've become less certain about it all, and also broader about what the possibilities are. But I do find working with community projects to be rewarding in a much different way than doing work for galleries or even traditional public art, commissions and work like that. So that's why I'm interested in Yoda and Art Matters things. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie, are you a visual artist? Are you paint, media?
I do a lot of everything, but I'm mostly known as a sculptor or as a public artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah.
Lacey.
Sorry, all of my buttons are everywhere. Hi, everyone. I'm Lacey. So I'm gonna have to agree with Charlie on this one. Been really much more open and vague about what my art practice means now. And I had someone recently ask me, like, art practice, what is that? And I'm like, it basically means I go in the studio and whatever happens there is good. I have my degree from VCU in sculpture and extended media, and I work at Roanoke College as the assistant gallery director. So I do some curatorial work and installation there. And as of right now, my main practice, I am working on collages. So.
Great. Thanks, Lucy. Robin.
All right, so I am a creative artist. I dabble in a little bit of everything. I've been designing websites since I was maybe 10 or 12 years old, and that transitioned into getting really deep into graphic design. And from graphic design, I'm really passionate about actually helping other people with their creative visions. So a lot of the things that I do creatively are things that I do for other people, for other businesses, for nonprofits. So I do a lot of, creative branding and things like that. But I do love collage work. I do love digital art and converting that digital art to print. Just did a really cool project with Humble Hustle. If you go to the baseball game on Juneteenth weekend, you get to see some of those things that I did for them. But yeah, I dabble in a little bit of everything. I have a t-shirt line. So yeah, I just like to create. I like to appreciate art. I love graffiti. I love street art. I assisted my sister last year, 2 years ago, it seems like last year, with the End Racism Now mural downtown. So
Wow.
yeah, I do a little bit of everything when it comes to creativity.
Great. Thanks, Robin. And Michelle.
Well, so I guess I got sucked into at a young age the whole idea that artists can't make money. And if my parents are paying for college, I'm not going to take any art classes. I'm going to come out with a way to earn a living. So, and I think I've really kind of pushed against that, or just always believing that I can't make any money, so why do it? And that was part of it, I think. And but for some reason, I just always kind of found creative ways to do things. So I had a job in Atlanta, and I didn't really like it all that much. And I started a production company where I was doing children's birthday parties. I was doing face painting. I was dressing up as all the dark-haired Disney characters and doing face painting like Snow White, Princess Jasmine, Pocahontas. I had the whole thing. So I had drama in my background, and I was doing face painting, but I had a steady gig, a regular business job that I could just keep doing. I wound up having a gift basket business that I did on the side. And then when I started having children, I was a stay-at-home mom, but I was involved in the PTA, and I was the one designing the t-shirts, and I was the one doing the events for the carnival, and I was the one doing these intricate, teacher appreciation things. And then I started taking the classes I always wanted to take in college. My husband's a professor at Roanoke College. And so I took some classes there. I've taken graphic design classes at Virginia Western. So I was involved in a lot of things for my kids' schools and different things in the community. There, one of my children converted to Judaism. I do a lot of things for Temple Emmanuel as far as events go and graphic design. My other child is in the Rainbow family, so I've been involved with Roanoke Diversity Center and a lot of different groups like that, mostly doing graphic design. But this is like the first time where I'm thinking, okay, there was all these other interests I have, like bringing painting back and trying to figure out graphic design, and thought about having a website, and thought about doing Etsy, and thought about different things that I can do. Now that I am working at Roanoke College, I do have a steady job again, but taking that extra time now that my kids are in college and graduated from college, that this is my time to say, okay, I don't have to be making a lot of money. I don't have to be a huge success in this. I just have to feed, this part of me that wants to create and just see what happens and not be so scared about it. So that was a very, very long elevator ride, probably up and down, but sorry about that.
That was great. Thanks, Michelle. And Susan.
Right, well, I already gave a little bit of my information, but Kyle and Michelle know me as an accountant.
Ew,
boring.
That was you?
A boring accountant. Yes, it is me. Just a boring old drudgery accountant. But I don't do taxes, so that spares me from being totally in the dark. My artistic throughout the years is the stuff that you're trying to loop in, which is singing, cooking food that's too fancy for my family of choice, my family of birth, landscaping, gardening, sewing, floral design. But I have a son who's an art major and a mother, that's the portrait I'm doing, a mother who used to scribble, for those of you that might remember corded telephones and the telephone book that always sat underneath it. Mom couldn't sit still, so she drew women's faces on all the yellow pages, like all over. There would be nothing but women's faces. And I'm not that person. I can't draw. And because I can't draw, I can't take art. Take art. Most of the art teachers insist that you draw it and then do whatever with it. And I have some of those drawings. They're terrible. It was crap when I drew it, and then it's colorful crap when I finish it. So, but I love painting. I've taken some oil classes and I love them, and people can tell what they are when I finish. So I find that to be fun, but I can only paint what I can see. You people that can paint things that you haven't seen yet, I'm just in awe. But anyway, I'm trying it again. I'm sitting down and painting. My son, when I sent him to college, I thought, oh great, I'm going to get some great artwork for the walls. And he hates to paint. He can draw like the wind, but he hates to paint. And so it's like, if I'm gonna get any painting on the wall, I'm gonna have to do it myself. So that's what I'm doing.
Terrific. Thanks, Susan. Wow. Hey, Kyle, thanks for sending us on that path. That was terrific and fun. And everybody has a different path that they're on, and they're a different trajectory, a different entry point to art, a different you know, in some cases, we feel like we've been thrown out of art class and we're coming back into it, which is fantastic. I think we'll keep having these, you know, especially when we start getting together in person as well. We'll get to know each other even better. And there are lots of other people out there that we'll get to know as well. Let me share my screen again, and we're going to keep charging forward. And oops, yeah. Well, let me go back. Okay, so the groundwork values. I am a big fan of values, kind of understanding why we're doing what we're doing. That's kind of strong foundation, whether they're personal values that drive you, you know, what's important to you, your goals, your strengths and skills, your relationship to the community. You know, the strengths and skills, you know, we do fall out of things, or we feel like we're pushed out of things in some ways. I remember I applied to schools that had biomedical engineering because I think someone said it would be a good thing to do. And I lasted a semester in biomedical engineering. But there are things that you know, the more that my life is like it was when I was in kindergarten, the happier I am, the more, you know, not even just kindergarten, but like when I was kind of in my zone, doing what I love to do, the more my life is like that now, the happier I am. And I think there are things that are kind of core to me, strengths and skills that I should be drawing on, if they're strengths and skills. And sometimes we are, you know, for whatever reason, we're told that they aren't as valuable as other things, or that we don't, you know, that they don't appear to be as appreciated by society at large. So these are the things that that you're drawing on as an artist. They're things that are unique to you. It's your perspective, it's your skills, it's your values, and we'll always have those voices. In some cases, we internalize them. They could be a voice from a parent or a teacher or someone along the line that was a negative voice. And we've got to be pretty firm when we're standing up to that voice, whether it's in our head or it's from somewhere else. Plus, you are going to extraordinary lengths as you're undertaking projects, and they're important. And only you can tell yourself that they're important. Only you can keep yourself determined to complete the projects. So all of that's in you is a key critical piece of the year of the artist. And so there's a worksheet. It's on page 14 of the handbook, and the key question. This is the question we're going to talk about tonight. And I'm going to ask you to think about this. And if you have a piece of paper there, write down some responses to it. And then we're going to share a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about it. And the question won't be any real surprise. But like, why does working in community matter to you? Ground yourself in understanding what matters to you as an artist and a fellow human. Use this to reflect on your values, especially those related to when you're working in community. What are your values related to working in and with community? Complete the following statement. When working with or in community, it's important to me that blank. So what are some of the values that are driving you? You know, if you're considering taking on an Art Matters project, or if you're going to be an artist in residence, or if you are, you know, just exploring, applying your creativity in the world around you, or like Michelle talked about, the numerous ways that she's been engaging in community through her creativity. What is important to you? What are the values that underpin the work that you're doing? And I'll give you a minute to keep thinking about that. Write a few things down. One thing I really do like to do is, you know, if we were having this conversation as a group, I would actually give you a piece of paper or several pieces of paper and let you write these down. And then I would gather them from you as we're having a conversation. And the reason I would do that would be so that everyone's able to participate, to provide a response. Often, we'll go through we'll have a group conversation and someone will put an answer out, and that will drive the direction of the conversation. And someone would have a response that is almost antithetical to it, or and feel that their response wasn't as valid. So that's why I say write it down, and then and we're not in space together, so I won't be able to like collect it from you, but you can hold yourself accountable for it and let it give you a little more courage if you felt like, if say this were a conversation that was going down one particular path, and you might have just the thing that illuminates another path for us. All right, and who wants to start us off? Kyle, was that Kyle?
Yeah. I actually wrote it down. I said that I want my art to become a catalyst for positive change.
Terrific.
Whether it be storytelling or in communication, positive change and communication.
Great, thanks, Kyle. All right, who else has got one? Lacey.
Okay, so a few things that immediately jumped into my mind when you say, when working with the community, it's important that I listen. That's a big one for me. It's important that I feel that I'm part of that community. So I'm going to be working with the Northwest neighborhoods, and I've been doing that work now for some time. And I always tell people, like, this is my neighborhood too, because I live here. So part of my work is making it into the place where I also feel belonging and inclusion. And then my last thing would be to, and this is part of my personal practice, but to make the invisible visible. What are the things that we're not seeing that we can bring to the surface, especially when we're working in visual arts, because that's one of the most beautiful things, is that we can represent it in a lot of different ways. So
I love that. That's amazing. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. All right, who'd like to go next? Robin.
So I put here, when working with and in the community, it's important to me that consideration is given to the whole community. I think it kind of piggybacks a little bit off of what Lacey said, but giving consideration to all who play a role in making the community what it is, the people who live and work there, the youth, those who visit and enjoy the community, and just looking at it, I guess, from a diverse cultural perspective. And I really love what you said, Lacey, about making the visible invisible. And I'm sure that our paths may cross because you're on Northwest and I'm on Eureka Park. So I think that our paths may cross here somewhere. But just even thinking about that project, I know that a lot of times when people are polled for things in our community, they may take a small subset of people and just get a small feedback. And I want to be able to hear the voice of the whole, the collective. So that's my approach.
Great, thank you, Robin. Yeah, but yeah, both of you, your paths are going to cross, and you're both, terrific for your assignments. And Robin, you hit it right on the head. That's exactly why we want to have an artist in residence, as part of that Eureka Park project, because I know they've done some listening, but have they done enough listening? Have we, in understanding what that community center can do, have we talked to the entire community, the whole breadth of it? I'm so getting excited. Okay, Susan.
Hi, I put mine in the chat, but this past Friday I was working with others at the Highland Park field, I mean, not field day, but fun day. And I was one of the people that they assigned over to the craft area, and the kids were using permanent markers. Made me very nervous, but they were using permanent markers to mark on t-shirts they had brought, drawings and writings and whatever. And then they had backpacks they could do. And it was important to me that every one of those children got encouragement with what they were doing, and that whatever their strengths are, or what each one's strength was, I wanted to be sure to highlight that, whether it be in the color or some were excellent artists at, 5th grade and lower. Some were excellent artists, and some just were really good with their colors, and some were very bold. And so it was fun to find something nice to say about each one.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Susan. All right, John, I think I saw you move your hand earlier.
Yeah. So yeah, it's important for me that the community really do feel engaged and they feel involved, regardless of where you're from or who you are. And then another one is just being kind of motivated to kind of make sure that the community feels motivated and inspired to feel like, they are, they have potential of doing things to help out within their community. And that all leads to, something joyful or exciting. Like, I love that. If someone's like excited about seeing a sculpture I may have built, that's more than anything to me. It's the best part. So yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, John. All right, Charlie.
Yeah. A few years ago, and I was involved in doing a large community project, and I came up with a theory about how to be a community-based artist, and that was that you just set out to do something that it's impossible for you to do by yourself, and then then you're stuck with it. You're going to need help, and then the idea of artists taking risks, I think, comes into play, and then you're going to find people to help you do that, and you feel very exposed and vulnerable and at the edge, and then when you do get some support and some positive feedback, it doesn't take much either. You can have just a few of those, and the next time somebody says to you, "That's crazy, I wouldn't do that if I was ready to die," you can stand up to that, and you can say, "Okay, well, I'll go to the next person." So if you get those moments of feeling like you've connected with people, it feels like an embrace. It feels like you've just accomplished a trust leap, and they've just been there and caught you. I mean, it's the most rewarding thing. So I think, I think we're all in some ways trying to do something that we can't do by ourselves. Yeah.
Really, really nicely said. Yeah. And that, I love that word risk. And the thing impossible to do by yourself, and that the faith that's required when you do that, because it's faith in the community, right? Yeah. All right, who's next? Jane, was it you waving?
Yep. I've got leading with empathy, humanity, and love. Recognizing who has power and influence, and seeking those that are less often heard, seeking out new voices, changing outcomes, disrupting systems of oppression, racism.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Kyle, did you put yours in the chat? You wanna-
Well, these are the summaries of what everybody's been saying.
Oh, gotcha. Great. Great. Thanks. And it'll download those for me. I appreciate you doing that. Let's see. And then who hasn't gone? Let's see. Michelle?
Some of what came to me was mostly kind of what other people have said, you know, making sure that the people in the community feel heard, that everyone has the opportunity to share and come up with a, you know, a common, you know, talk about what a problem might be and try to come to a solution together, that everybody feels, you know, that they're somehow involved, that maybe that there is a mission or a goal that as a group that you can work to attain. And then through that, everybody can, you know, feel part of something bigger than just themselves.
Great. Thanks, Michelle.
Mhm.
Christine?
Hello. I have a couple of overlaps as well. A few years ago when I was debating, I was at a low period and I was debating about whether I wanted to quit my job or not. I was evaluating what's important in my life, and I came to the realization that relationships are important to life and crucial in the cultivation of those relationships. And since then, I've pursued that personally with friends, but also in the idea of working with the community is a way to continue that sort of work. In general, fun and curiosity motivates me, and I love like some people have been saying, like when you're talking about something that you're passionate about, it's other people get really drawn up in that, and they let their guard down, and they tend to talk about things they're passionate about as well. And I think working out in the community is a way to cultivate those conversations. Empathy is incredibly important to me. And I feel like a way to gain empathy is to learn a lot about people you don't know. And I think that's crucial to our success as humans. And then in general, learning, I think along those lines, you know, hearing other voices and learning from each other is critical. I think that sums up everything.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that idea of the passionate and the excited. It's sometimes we're told that, like, hey, yeah, I don't know. I can remember in school, like it's just not cool to get excited about something, you know. Like, wait, but it is cool. It is cool.
I don't care about that. Not anymore. I'm jazzed.
Yeah, and it's contagious. You're right. It's contagious. Yeah. Vicky, did you hear the question? I'm not sure when you popped on.
No, I'm sorry. I was traveling and I knew there was something going on with this. Well, I remember reading an email from you about some Zoom, and I just happened to tap into it, and I said, oh, I'm going to catch it before our host is making dinner for us. So I said, I'm going to just run up to their room upstairs and catch what you're talking about.
Okay.
So I didn't really get a chance to really get the full impact of what your conversation was about. I just hope to kind of tag in here and see what you were all talking about. That's all.
Okay, and we'll have it recorded too. You can catch up on the earlier part.
Yes, I realize that, so that's good.
Okay, great. Now has everybody gone on this question? Robin, did you get to go on this question? Yeah, you did. Yeah, yeah. Okay, everybody went. All right. Thank you. I feel now. Let me just ask for some observations. Any observations on? Oh, Susan, did you not get to go?
No, you didn't get to go.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah. It's important to me to feel connected. You know, that sense of belonging. That everybody, that more people feel that they belong and that they can have an impact on the world around them. I think that's important. That's important too. And I think I heard that in the group as well. But so thank you, Susan. Yeah. Now any observations on our collection of values there? Kyle, you were typing away. Would you have any observations?
No, I just feel inspired. You know, the Lacey's to make visible the invisible. which can be the harshness of what some people struggle with, or, it's not always all butterflies and rainbows. And a lot of times people think of art and artists and dance and music as entertainment. And they don't realize that you have to work at your joy as much as you have to work at your good nutrition and your exercise. That if we as a community focus on all the negative and all the harshness in this world, I think we as artists, need to lift others above that. And we have that potential because creativity and imagination and music connect us all, no matter what our backgrounds and our culture. And those are the only things that do. The things that divide us are, when I look at the early days of music and see, the diversity of how music blended musicians and when artists come together to make a project, it breaks down barriers so we can know each other. And I think everything everybody just said is the goal for that. And so in a sense, I think we're a microcosm of reflecting our communities. And right now our communities need a lot of joy. They need a lot of feeling connected to each other. And any project that we can do creatively together will help us understand one another and help bridge those divides. And so that's why I'm grateful for the city and taking this initiative and making it easier for us to not only connect with each other as artists, so we don't feel like we're all in our own little silos, but also so we can feel like, yeah, we can impact people, that we have a purpose, and our purpose is especially now, most vitally now, when people are struggling to understand each other and are struggling to connect with each other. And it's in the process of creating together that I think that happens. Sorry, that's
Wow.
a speech.
Thank you. I'm not going to say a thing. I'll let it sit with that for a moment, and I'm going to share my screen again. Wow. So just so I'll push forward too in this. We're wrapping up. So the next part of that worksheet, and we're not going to go through this tonight, but you can think about a time that you felt really good about the work that you're doing and where it kind of aligned with those values and brought those values to life. That's one aspect of it. And then there's another part of the final part of the worksheet was think about a time that you were living or working outside of that value, or if you were part of a project that didn't reflect or honor those values, perhaps intended to and didn't fully fulfill that. What'd you learn and what would you do differently? There's a little deeper, for your thoughtful spot. So this is on page 14 of that handbook. And I do want to talk about what else, the other worksheets that are in the handbook. So there's one on personal and professional goals. I'm a big believer, and we do this with our Arts Commission committees. When we have people sign up for committee, we say, now, what do you want to get out of it? We know what we want to put into it. What do you want to get out of it? What are your personal and professional goals? How is this advancing you? And this is a big part of that year of the artist. We want to make sure that we're providing those opportunities and that the work that you're doing aligns with that. So there's a worksheet for that. Then there's a worksheet for what you bring. And I just I think this is how we started off. I think because I'm reading that book about the introverts, kind of understanding the strengths that you bring. We read the book, and some of you were part of the book conversation on designing creative communities. And in that book, the author talked about the it's a Clifton. I'll say Clifton. I might have it wrong now. The strengths scoring. So it's by the Gallup company has this tool, there's a free version online called the high five test. And in the book, he's talking about like knowing your strengths so that you can build on your own personal strengths. It is fun to do this high five test. Marissa and I did it, and we exchanged our readings, and we're both like, "Yep, that's you." So it's kind of fun to do, to think about your strengths. But there's a worksheet as well for your knowledge and skills, your passions, your connections and resources. Then there's a deeper worksheet on community connections, and then one on collaboration. If you're an artist, if you're doing a project that is in a community, it's your project, or if you're doing a project that's with a community. So these worksheets, I think, are good and helpful in thinking through some things. So if you're interested in going deeper, you can do those between now and next week, and we'll touch on them at the beginning of next week and hear some report outs from anything you learned, or anything that was an aha for you from those worksheets. So we were talking about our values and the way we'll drive the work that we're doing. Springboard has key practices for artists working in community, and I thought it'd be fun to read through those now. And these are things that, from all their experience and doing work in Minnesota and coaching and community-based artwork, there are some of their tips are: be humble, work in collaboration, stay in listening and learning mode, be responsible and responsive to the community, be transparent and communicate, be ready to work through tension and conflict. Conflict's going to be there, and how we manage it can really model the way in a community. I'm sure we're going to have lots of conversations on how to navigate and how to productively engage in situations of conflict. See assets and opportunities where others may not see them. Work from existing assets, people, places, cultures, connections, and resources. Recognize who holds power and influence, and seek out those who are less represented or heard. And then know what you bring: your skills, your passion, your resources. And that self-knowledge is critical. Not only what you bring, but what you're missing. And I know I have triggers, and I'll get defensive, in a certain way. I've got to be aware of what makes me defensive, or what gets my guard up, or what brings out less than the best in me, so that I can guard against that, be aware of it, and address it. And this is all part of a lifelong process, right? We're always learning and growing that way. So in this list, I see some reference back to the values that we've identified in our group. And then a couple of updates. So Art Matters grants are still open. They're open through, we've announced 10 awards. We've got about 20 more that we can give, and the applications are due August 1st. You might, if you haven't applied for one, you might have a project you're interested in applying for. You might know somebody in the community or who's been part of our calls who could use some encouragement as well. And we know how important that is. And then if you are doing the self-portrait project, we're gonna have 2 drop-off dates. Those are the 14th and the 21st. In the email I sent out with the invitation for this meeting, it also has a link where you can sign up for your drop-off time. There are lunchtime and evening drop-off times on the 14th and the 21st. And we still have the Inspired grants out there too, if anyone's interested in attending a cultural event in the community. And there have been some terrific ones this spring. And with that, are there any questions? Any questions or final comments? Michelle.
So I may have missed this somewhere, but is there somewhere listed all the grants or all the people who have been awarded those projects? We have an idea of what's already in the pipeline, what's already been approved, so that we're not trying to duplicate efforts, or maybe even get an idea for our own project?
That's a great question. And I've got to kind of go through and regroup on the website a little bit and kind of reorganize it, or on our little portal. But I'm going to pull the link up. There's a press release and a listing. And that's for the Art Matters grants.
Right.
And let's see, as soon as it comes up, I'll post it in the chat. And then we've got the artists in residence. We haven't announced those. We're going to wait, and the artists in residence might have some thoughts on how we announce them as well. We thought we'd get everybody meeting with their host and get everybody comfortable before we put out word on it, so everybody's prepared, and that we're able to get attention on the host projects as well as on the artist in residence when we get them situated. But we've got a number of them here on the call. You've heard a couple of references. Robin and Lacey, Robin with Eureka Park and Lacey with Northwest Neighborhoods of Opportunity, which is that collaborative approach, looking at the social determinants of health. John is doing the Complete Streets project, and he's already sat in on a meeting. I haven't followed up with John to see what he thought about that first meeting, but he got to sit there with the transportation engineers and everybody when they started talking about projects. But they're very excited to have John around the table. Christine is working with stormwater, and there are any number of directions I think that our project can go. Jane's working with the Gun Violence Commission, and has already been digging in with Chris Roberts. Yeah. So that's a little preview of the folks who are in the call. Simone is going to be at the Envision Center as well. So the link will. I was really excited about the Art Matters grants. We said it's wellness, justice, and inclusion, and we're hitting all of those. And we want to keep it. So we've got a great set of examples to build from, and there's some other terrific projects out there. And we want to make sure that we're working with folks who feel like they're on the margins of things. And we know, let's see, where I've met with the artist who's at the rescue mission, and she's working on a project. And because they have a little studio there. Beverly, does anybody know Beverly? And so she's doing art classes there with guests at the rescue mission. And so she's working on, I think, on an application. I think so you might have some other thoughts when you look at that list, Michelle, of what other groups might be a good fit. And please do help make those connections. Any other questions?
So you also have added another drop-off date, so it's not the cutoff. It has to be next Tuesday. You added it also for another week.
I added on the 21st. I'll tell you, I'm talking with, in the past, with the last show, I shot little videos of artists with their work when they came and dropped it off. RBTV might be helping us with that this time. And I said, well, let me do it on 2 different dates so we can space people out a little bit more. And some people have said, oh yeah, that's good, because I'm not going to be in town on the 14th. So it gives us a little more flexibility.
I see.
Yeah. And we'll see how those videos, how we end up doing the videos. But I do think it's good to put a voice, when people loved the videos last time when we did them on the Welcome to Roanoke exhibit. And so they might look better this time if we get RBTV to do them for us. Yeah. All right. Anybody have anything else?
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you. You are the ones who are going to be making this happen this year. So I appreciate you. Yeah. And enjoy the rest of
Enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Hey, thanks a lot.
You as well. Enjoy your vacation. All right. Take care.
Take care.
Take care. Good night, everybody.
Night.